Welcome to Comfort Time with Aunty Yunike, where we share testimony stories. Today we have a very special guest, even if this guest is not here for the first time. Our guest for today is Father Don Phiri. Father, welcome to Comfort Time.
Thank you, Aunty Yunike.
So, Father has been here before. We discussed different topics, but today we want to delve into the topic of GBV. Father, what is GBV? Before you respond, maybe for the sake of those who have not seen you before on Comfort Time, could just give us a brief history of who is Father Don Phiri before you go into what GBV is.
Thank you, Aunty Yunike. Greetings to you viewers. It's good to be here again. My name is Father Don Phiri, SMA. I'm a missionary at the moment based in Tanzania, Arusha, where I'm part of the staff team that runs the sabbatical year for priests, sisters and brothers. These are the people who are resting, who have taken time out of their ministry. So we have a special program for them. We accompany them and they offer different courses or modules. So I'm glad that I'm here. Thank you for inviting me, Aunty Yunike. You know, I appreciate the work that you are doing.
You're welcome, Father. And rest is very important. You know, I think people underestimate the dangers of stress. If you don't take time off to rest, sometimes you even end up having physical ailments. So I'm glad that you take the time to work with the religious and the priests to take rest so that they are not burnt out.
Sure.
So, Father, we've talked about GBV before, but I wanted to hear from your perspective, what is GBV?
Yeah, GBV is a common term that, like many people know here in Zambia, it simply means gender-based violence.
Okay.
And sometimes GBV is a term that is misused or misunderstood. My understanding of GB, I would like to enlighten viewers, is that gender-based violence is a broad term. It's a kind of an umbrella under which there are different branches. You know, GBV, under GBV there are 4 items that you find there. You may find child abuse is also part of gender-based violence. There is sexual assault. There is intimate partner violence. And actually, I would like to emphasize on this because many people understand gender-based violence as intimate partner violence. The moment you hear GBV, it is violence against women. They even forget that it can be also violence against men. So it is not just about intimate partner violence or IPV. It includes all these things that I mentioned: child abuse, elder abuse, intimate partner violence, and sexual assault.
Okay.
So I think I know we can't exhaust all these. Maybe we may have to focus on one. Then later on we can talk about the others. Why I've said that it includes child abuse. You know, you can find a child who is mistreated based on the gender. Okay. You know, maybe somebody maybe the parents did not wish to have a boy, so they will have some mistreatment towards that child because this child is a boy or this is they wanted exactly.
So what is the impact on children when you say children also face that gender-based violence? So what is the impact on the children based on their gender? Yes.
You see, this gender-based violence, but in particular now the intimate partner violence, it has many impacts. Actually, the UN statistics from UN, they are showing that at least 30% of women have experienced emotional and physical abuse.
Okay.
Yeah, 30%. That means worldwide. We don't have the statistics for Zambia or for Africa. This is worldwide. Again, let me be fair. We don't have statistics for men. We have to be fair. You know, men also experience violence. Like recently now in Kenya, you heard of 2 cases of women who cut the private parts of men. And it was funny on media, somebody actually created a underwear, a metallic underwear, you know, that men now, this is what they should be buying to protect it. So there are all those cases. But by and large, we should say, you know, the bigger population is more on the women. And also interestingly, from the UN, you know, finding is that this gender-based violence, in particular intimate partner violence, is more in poor countries, those developing countries.
Really?
It was very strange to me. I was thinking that maybe Europe or America would have, you know, greater numbers than us here in Africa. But it is more in poor countries.
Why do you think that, Father? Why would it be?
I think, you know, poverty can have greater effect on your well-being. It can affect the way you relate with people, you know, the way you relate with the society at large. So I would think that is... now the impact of intimate partner violence on the children is that, you know, it makes children experience emotional and behavioral disturbances. And these children also who are coming from, because these families, you know, where there is violence, they are dysfunctional families. So you find that the children cannot perform well academically. They will have low self-esteem. And there is a high possibility that when they grow up, they will perpetrate, you know, this violence. And these children later on, you know, they will have difficulty to trust people. Because they were surrounded by this violence, and you know, children learn from what they are seeing. So they will have this anger in them, and of course, you know, they will have the fear, the trauma, you know, the post-traumatic stress disorder. They will have it in the future, and also they will have lack of compassion. You know. Because they have been seeing this violence at home, so they are likely to not to be compassionate towards others.
So they think it's normal.
They think it's normal, you know, to be violent to somebody. So actually, these people that you are seeing who are very violent, it has to do with the way they were brought up, the environment, you know.
So that's why it is said, Father, that perpetrators are also victims.
Exactly.
Because it's a learned behavior. So they were victims at one point, and now they're doing it as perpetrators. That's so sad. Yeah,
it is. And you know, these children, they are the ones who are likely to abuse drugs. You know, they will fall into abusing alcohol and drugs.
Okay.
Because they will find consolation in that. But actually the underlying thing is that trauma that was experienced from the violence that they witnessed in their families,
which they have not dealt with.
Exactly.
I think that I've heard so much talk these days of heal your inner wound, heal your childhood trauma. So it's from all that.
It's from all that, yes.
Okay. So GBV is something that is really interesting, having discussed traumas and past experiences. So what are the signs of an abusive partner?
Yeah, you know, as we are talking about GBV, as I said, you know, GBV is just a term that refers to crisis of victimization. And in people who perpetrate this victimization, you know, they show particular signs, especially in a relationship. We're talking particularly about couples now here. The married couples, the first sign you see is aggression. You find your partner, you know, who can easily shove you, push you, you know, or hit you. And then also they are unpredictable in their moods. You know, their moods can change radically and drastically. And then they are very controlling when it comes to finance. You know, of course, there is a problem of putting resources together in couples now. This is a big problem. You know, the married people are both working. It becomes very difficult to put. But those that put money together, you will find that if you have a partner who is very violent, they want to control the shared money, the shared resources without your awareness. So this is also a sign of an abusive partner. Apart from that, also there are others like controlling your partner's time. They want to find out your whereabouts and
where were you?
And they are just jealous for nothing and very suspicious. So these are common signs of an abusive partner. And they have also verbal threat. They will threaten you. They will tell you, if you leave me, I will commit suicide. Or I will either kill you and kill the children. So they issue these threats in a relationship. So actually, I would say these are the common signs that you will see in an abusive partner. It is good that people should be aware and watch out for these signs.
But Father, what can you do if you find yourself in such a situation? What are things that women can change?
Yeah, that's a very good question. You know, the thing is that there are some people who have come to idealize their partners. You know, they are always thinking that one day my partner will change, and that keeps going on. Yeah, I'm not saying that people should divorce, but there is help available. Like they claim have recourse to friends, the church leaders, even church mates, and above all, there is counseling available. You know, it's not that, you know, when you go to see a counselor, the counselor will help you to know how to handle that. Some people are afraid that, oh, my husband or my wife will get to know about this and now it will just escalate. You see, so that's why people live in fear and they live in these abusive relationships. But there is a way out. As long as, you know, they are able to come out to say, this is what I'm facing. I know I've given it time, but it seems it's not changing. It is good that, you know, life is preserved. Otherwise, if somebody continues to live, that's why there are these cases of, you know, having high blood pressure, killing each other, and even killing themselves, you know, committing suicide. All that. So it's good to know that the help is available.
And Father, one of the things also that I think women or even men need to do is to be aware when someone is very controlling, as you have said, or when someone is stopping you from dealing with friends, family, because what they do, what we have noticed first, is they isolate you.
Yeah, exactly.
When they isolate you, they'll be, no, I don't like this person to come here, I don't like this one. So by the end of the day, you find that everyone who is close to you is no longer allowed to be close to you. That is danger. Then you must know that this person has no good intentions for me. Whether it's a man or a woman, people isolate you so that they can abuse you. Because no one can provide everything that you need from one person. That's why we have fathers, we have mothers, we have sisters, we have friends. From every person you get something different. So when someone isolates you, just be aware that you are headed for danger. I thought I should
that is very, very important. That's why they are coined the terms that are new. They are not yet in the diagnostic statistical manual of psychology. But there is this a woman who came up with this syndrome, battered woman syndrome, in 1970. Yeah, it is a term, and she has explained very well that sometimes this is a kind of a cycle. You know, you have the honeymoon stage, you know, the partner shows you love, and this time they even show remorse, you know, that what they did is bad. But again, it comes back, they become there is a tension stage. They create tension, they abuse you, they hit you, there is physical violence, again back. So the circle goes around. It is good to be aware, that this is what is happening. And some partners do this in order to manipulate the other person.
So what are the interventions?
Yeah, the interventions are there. That's why I said it is good that they should know, like in the Catholic Church, the first intervention is that once there is a violence or aggression in the relationship, the church allows separation. It's not divorce. It's better we allow people to separate, they think about each other. But again, it is easier said than done. There are implications. The partner may not be able to fend for herself or himself financially. Then you are looking at the state of the children, what will happen, all this in terms of separation. So it is good, that's why I'm saying it's good to seek for professional help, so that you see the victim is helped to see the options available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Father, we were witnessing a marriage recently, and before the vows were done, the couple was informed that this certificate that you are about to receive means you are man and wife for life.
Yes.
And to the exclusion of any other. So you cannot marry anybody else, otherwise the courts will visit you. The police will visit you.
Yeah.
So now they said something that was very interesting. They said, should you have differences and decide to go on separation is for 2 years.
Yes.
So in that 2 years, you're not allowed to get married again, because that would be bigamy.
Yes.
In that 2 years, you are trying to see if it's possible to reconcile. But also, in that 2 years, the man has to continue being the head of the home. So the man must make sure that the woman, wherever she is safe. I know the normal trend is that, I don't know about here in Africa, but the normal trend is that the man leaves and the wife remains in the home with the children.
Sure.
So then after that 2 years, that's when now they can go back to the court and say we have still failed to reconcile. We still now want to divorce. And the case is still active. So from there, that's when now they will decide the way forward. So I think it's important to know that when you are in a marriage, don't think you can just decide that I'll leave, or I will chase her, I will chase him, and there are no repercussions. The man continues to be the head of the home and continues to run the home as if he was there. So I thought that was very interesting. Yeah.
It's very important, Aunty Yunike. I agree with you, and I'm happy that there are such measures that are put in place. This is to protect both parties, Yeah, it's good. But again, I'll just emphasize the fact that when we're talking about this, we're talking particularly about couples, because there is a misunderstanding about who a partner is. When we're talking about intimate partner violence, we are talking about couples.
Okay.
Couples are the ones that can call each other as partners. In a boy-girlfriend relationship, they are not partners as such.
Okay.
That's why the Catholic Church, we say the primary purpose of marriage is partnership. To live together. So whether you are separated, whether you have separated, you are still a couple.
Okay.
That marriage is indissoluble. It cannot be dissolved. It will continue to be there. Just to give yourselves time and also to get help, so that when you reconcile, you come now to start life anew.
Okay.
But it's important to maybe traditionally also. Actually, I don't know. Before those olden days, before you get your partner, we used to do a lot of inquiries. I'm just wondering why. You'll be advised you can't marry in that family because there are all those issues. But nowadays, we meet,
we've gone
and you have gone far in your relationship, and then that's when you get to know You know, they
when
were
you're even married sometimes,
that's when you get to know that maybe there's an albino, so I should have not married. I think those inquiries, you know, were good to say, yeah, you can't marry in that family. Okay, you may say, Father, but then if I decide not to marry, who will marry in that family? Yeah, but you see, we cannot be responsible for their problems, you know, that family. If you know that it's not a family where I can go and get a partner, you know, it is my right to choose, you know. We used to, you know, those days I remember when we were growing up, you know, though I went the other way, but there was this information.
No, it's very important. But Father, the youths of nowadays, I think maybe because of social media, they don't listen so much to parents. Because I remember even in our time, I thought, you know, my parents were just adamant. There are certain provinces where you should not marry. So when you say, no, this man wants to marry me, the first thing they'll ask is, where is he from? So they're like, no, there are some tribes that we cannot communicate properly with. So you can't marry that tribe. You can't. But now we have one Zambia, one nation. So hopefully we look at families and tribes differently than it was. But in our time, it was quite unheard of that someone maybe even from Eastern Province will go and marry somewhere very far. The only one, I remember they would say, no, you can only marry from Northern Province. If you're from Eastern, because those are cousins. So they always insisted on tribal cousins. But with time, we found that whether you're tribal cousins or not, you're at least able to relate.
Exactly. Yeah, for me, you know, when it comes to tribal lines, it is good to intermarry. Like my advice would be, we have to look at if you have noticed this is a dysfunctional family. You know, are you going to allow yourself to enter into that family? You know, the family that has a history of abuse of drugs or alcohol, the family that has history of violence. You know, it is good to find out in that family.
In advance. Okay. No, that's very interesting. So, Father, any last words, anything that we haven't touched on that you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, you know, though we have not touched on there is issues of violence in this relationship of girlfriend and boyfriend, but it is a gender-based violence, but it falls under the category of sexual assault.
Okay.
You know, we have had a boyfriend, you know, abusing the girlfriend. So we are talking about this to create awareness that these things are there, whether we like it or not, they are there, but then there's something that can be done. Let us be keen in making sure that we prevent this vice in Zambia and in the world at large.
Okay. No, thank you so much. This was very interesting. I think I've learned a lot from our discussion. Thank you, Father, as always, for coming and being so generous with your wisdom and everything that you are learning. I know you are learning a lot through your psychosocial counseling, and we get to benefit from that. So thank you so much for coming to Comfort Time. So there you have it. GBV explained in detail. GBV is not just towards women, it's towards men, children. So let's be aware. And for the men, please come out in the open. Don't hide just because it's shameful for men to say, I've been beaten or I'm being abused. You're free to also report. So thank you. Comfort Time continues. Remember to give us a thumbs up always so that YouTube can share our videos with many more people. And don't forget to subscribe. Stay blessed. See you in the next video.